The truth behind the $2,000 stimulus rumor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today, we begin with one of the most widespread claims circulating online, the idea that a brand new $2,000 stimulus check is coming in 2025. Many seniors, retirees, and Americans receiving Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA benefits, or SNAP assistance have been hearing about it everywhere. And for people who are already struggling with rising costs, this rumor can sound like a blessing, almost too good to ignore. But before anyone gets their hopes up, it's important to slow down, breathe, and look closely at what's actually happening. In this first section, we're going to break down where these rumors started, why they spread so quickly, and why so many older Americans are falling into confusion, frustration, and sometimes fear. The internet today is full of videos claiming that a massive $2,000 check is already approved or that all you need to do is click a link to sign up. But here's the truth. None of these claims have been confirmed by the federal government, not the IRS, not the Treasury, and not Congress. When the government approves financial relief programs, they announce them publicly and officially, not through random posts, not through viral videos, and certainly not through suspicious links that ask you to enter personal information. Still, these rumors grow because they speak directly to the real challenges seniors face today. Inflation has pushed grocery prices higher, rent continues to rise, and medical bills feel heavier than ever. For many retirees, every single dollar matters. So when they hear the words $2,000 stimulus, hope quickly mixes with uncertainty. That emotional combination makes it far easier for misinformation to spread. In this video script, our goal is simple: to guide you through the truth step by step so you can protect yourself, avoid scams, and stay informed about what is real, what is possible, and what is simply false. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of where things stand today and what signs to look for if a real stimulus program ever becomes available again, what stimulus checks really are, and why the government uses them. Before we can understand whether a $2,000 stimulus check is truly possible in 2025, we need to step back and look at what stimulus payments actually are and why the government sends them in the first place. Many seniors remember the checks that were issued during the COVID-19 pandemic, but not everyone understands why those payments happened or why they stopped. A stimulus check is not just free money handed out for no reason. It is a financial tool used by the government during serious economic emergencies. Think of it as a spark used to restart an engine that is stalled. When millions of Americans lose their jobs, when businesses shut down, and when the economy slows to a halt, the government steps in to prevent a deeper collapse. Stimulus checks are one way they try to keep the country moving. When the government sends money directly to households, people use it to buy food, pay rent, cover medical expenses, or keep their utilities running. And when they spend that money, businesses see more customers, hire more workers, and the economic engine begins to turn again. This was exactly the case during the pandemic. The country needed emergency relief, and stimulus checks were one of the fastest ways to get help to the people who needed it most. But here's what many people forget. Stimulus checks are tied to crisis conditions, not normal times. They are not routine, they are not annual, and they are not promised. The government only sends them when the economy is facing a major threat that affects millions of households. And even then, Congress must debate, negotiate, and vote on the funding before money can reach the American people. This is why the idea of a new $2,000 payment in 2025 raises important questions. Are we facing a national emergency similar to the pandemic? Has Congress approved a bill that includes direct payments? Has the IRS announced new guidelines for eligibility? The answer to all of these questions so far is no. Understanding the true purpose of stimulus checks helps us stay grounded. These payments are not triggered by rumors, social media posts, or wishful thinking. They happen only when the country faces hardship severe enough for lawmakers to take action, and right now that simply isn't the case. Why the $2,000 stimulus rumor grew so quickly. Now that we understand what stimulus checks really are, let's take a closer look at how the rumor of a $2,000 payment for 2025 spread so quickly. For many Americans, especially seniors living on fixed incomes, this rumor didn't just sound attractive, it sounded like hope. And that emotional connection is exactly why the story traveled far and fast across social media, comment sections, and unreliable websites. Everywhere you look online today, you can find videos claiming that a $2,000 check is already approved. Some titles promise that the money is coming next week, while others tell you to apply now before the deadline. But when you examine the sources, you find something troubling. Almost none of these claims come from official government agencies. Instead, they come from content creators chasing views, scammers looking for victims, or websites designed to collect clicks rather than provide facts. The truth is, misinformation spreads fastest among communities that are already under financial pressure. Many seniors today face rising grocery prices, higher medical costs, and rent increases that feel impossible to manage on a limited budget. When someone is stressed about money, they become more vulnerable to promises of relief, especially when those promises come wrapped in official-looking graphics or convincing language. Scammers understand this. They know that seniors want clarity, stability, and reassurance, so they create posts that sound official using phrases like federal approval, stimulus confirmed, or direct deposit scheduled. They imitate logos from the IRS or Treasury Department. They design sign-up forms that look legitimate, and for someone who is anxious or overwhelmed, it becomes easy to click before thinking. But here is the reality. The federal government has not approved any new stimulus check for 2025, and no official source has announced a $2,000 payment. When such programs are real, they are widely publicized through national news channels, government press releases, and IRS statements. The government does not quietly release emergency payments without public coordination. By understanding how misinformation spreads and why it spreads, we can protect ourselves and our loved ones. Rumors grow where fear and hope collide. And for seniors facing tough financial times, that emotional mix makes them prime targets. This is why staying informed and cautious is more important now than ever. The real situation in November 2025, what the government has actually said. Now that we've explored where the rumors came from, it's time to look directly at the facts. As of November 2025, there is no confirmed federal program that promises a $2,000 stimulus check for all Americans. This isn't speculation, and it isn't an opinion. It's the official truth based on every legitimate source available today. If the government were sending out a new stimulus check, several things would happen immediately. First, the IRS would release public guidance explaining who qualifies, how much they would receive, and how payments would be delivered. Second, the Treasury Department would issue statements outlining the purpose of the payment and the expected timeline. Third, major news networks would cover the story nationwide because stimulus checks affect millions of people. None of these things have happened. Instead, the only announcements people are hearing come from unverified websites, misleading headlines, and videos designed to get attention rather than give accurate information. This is why it is so important for seniors to rely on official sources only. When the government approves a major financial program, they don't hide it. They want the public to know. They want people to receive the money they're entitled to. They use established channels, never random links or casual social media posts. Another key point to understand is that stimulus programs require action from Congress. A bill must be written, debated, approved by both the House and Senate, and then signed by the President. Only after this process can the IRS begin distributing payments. None of this legislative activity has taken place for a 2025 stimulus check. There is no bill, no vote, and no federal budget allocation for such a payment. It's natural to hope for extra financial support, especially when life feels overwhelming. But hope must be balanced with facts, and the fact is simple. There is currently no government-approved $2,000 check, and anyone claiming otherwise is spreading misinformation, whether intentionally or accidentally. In the next section, we will talk about something equally important: why these false claims are not only misleading, but dangerous, and how scammers take advantage of seniors during times like this. The growing danger of scams targeting seniors. Now that we understand the truth about stimulus checks, it's time to talk about something even more serious: the rise of scams that specifically target seniors, especially those who receive Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA, or SNAP benefits. When misinformation spreads, scammers see an opportunity, and sadly, older Americans often become their first target. These scams usually begin with a bold promise: you qualify for a $2,000 payment, or your stimulus check is ready. Click to claim. They might include government logos, official-looking forms, or urgent language designed to create fear and excitement. And once the message catches your attention, the scammer's goal becomes simple: to separate you from your personal information, and eventually, your money. Some scammers ask for your Social Security number, claiming they need to verify your identity before releasing your payment. Others ask for your bank account details, pretending the deposit is scheduled. Some even request a small processing fee, which is a major red flag. The U.S. government has never charged fees to send stimulus checks, and it never will. Scammers use emotional tactics. They create a sense of urgency by saying things like limited time, apply today, or you will miss your payment. They want you to act fast so you don't stop to think or check official sources. They know that when people are stressed about money, they are more vulnerable to manipulation. And sadly, these scams work all too often. Seniors lose thousands of dollars every year to criminals pretending to offer government assistance. Once personal information is stolen, it can take years to repair the damage. Identity theft, fraudulent withdrawals, unauthorized loans, these are real consequences countless older Americans face simply because they clicked a link they thought was trustworthy. This is why awareness is so important. Anytime someone says you must sign up, apply, or claim a government payment through a link, not an official government website, you should immediately walk away. Real federal programs never operate this way. In the next section, we'll discuss what a real stimulus program would look like and the specific signs you can watch for if one is ever approved again. How to recognize a real stimulus program. When it happens. At this point, you may be wondering, if a real stimulus check ever gets approved, how will I know it's legitimate? This is an important question, especially for seniors who rely on trustworthy information to protect their financial security. The good news is that real government payments, like the stimulus checks issued during the pandemic, always follow a clear and predictable pattern. Understanding that pattern will help you separate truth from rumor instantly. First, any real stimulus program must go through Congress. That means lawmakers debate, negotiate, and vote on the proposal. The bill must then be signed by the president. This is a public process covered heavily by major news outlets such as CNN, Fox News, ABC, and NBC. You will hear the discussions long before the first dollar ever leaves the Treasury. Second, once a bill becomes law, the IRS and Treasury Department release official statements. These statements include details such as who qualifies, how much each person will receive, and when the payments will be sent. They will publish this information only on official government websites, irs.gov, treasury.gov, or usa.gov. These sites are secure, trustworthy, and updated regularly. Third, real stimulus payments do not require you to apply, register, or click on outside links. During the pandemic, the government automatically sent payments based on tax records, Social Security data, or existing benefit information. If additional help is ever approved, it will likely follow the same process. Seniors receiving Social Security, SSI, or SSDI would not need to fill out any special forms to get their money. Fourth, legitimate stimulus programs receive attention from state governments, community organizations, and senior support groups. When a major payment is coming, everyone talks about it, and the information is consistent everywhere you look. Scams, on the other hand, often come from one isolated video or one suspicious website. And finally, real programs are never rushed, hidden, or secret. The government does not hand out thousands of dollars quietly. When money is approved for the public, they make sure the entire nation knows about it. In the next section, we'll talk about something equally important: what types of real government assistance do exist today, and how seniors can benefit from them without falling for false promises. Real government programs that actually provide financial help. Even though there is no confirmed $2,000 stimulus check for 2025, that does not mean the government has completely stopped offering financial support. In fact, there are several real programs available right now that many seniors qualify for. Programs that can help with daily expenses, health care, and household bills. These programs don't get as much attention as stimulus rumors, but they provide real dollars to real people. One of the most common sources of support is state tax refunds. Throughout the year, many Americans pay more in state taxes than they owe. When tax season arrives, that extra money comes back as a refund. For seniors living on fixed incomes, these refunds can make a meaningful difference, sometimes hundreds of dollars or more. Every state handles refunds differently, so it's essential to check your state's official tax website for details. Another important area is healthcare assistance. Many seniors struggle with the cost of prescription medications, doctor visits, and long-term care. Thankfully, programs like the Medicare Savings Program, extra help for prescription drug costs, and various state-level health assistance initiatives can significantly reduce these burdens. These are legitimate programs backed by federal and state governments, not rumors, not scams. For families with children, the child tax credit continues to be a powerful source of financial relief. While this credit primarily helps working parents, some grandparents caring for grandchildren may also qualify. The government uses this credit to support families with food, clothing, school supplies, and basic needs throughout the year. There are also housing and utility assistance programs available in many states, providing help with rent, heating bills, electricity costs, and sometimes emergency repairs. These programs are especially helpful for seniors living alone or those experiencing unexpected financial stress. Finally, local communities often have programs through nonprofits, churches, and community centers that help seniors with food, medical transportation, or household needs. These programs may not offer thousands of dollars at once, but they offer real, meaningful support without misinformation or risk. In the next section, we'll talk about why so many Americans desperately want the $2,000 rumor to be true and how that emotional pressure makes the public more vulnerable to false claims. Why so many Americans need this stimulus to be real. Even though the rumor of a $2,000 stimulus check is not true, it's important to understand why so many people desperately want it to be. Behind every rumor, there is a deeper story, one about financial stress, rising costs, and the struggle millions of Americans face every single day. Over the past few years, inflation has touched nearly every part of daily life. Groceries that used to cost $30 now cost $40 or $50. Rent has gone up, utilities have increased, and medical bills continue to place heavy pressure on older Americans, especially those living on fixed incomes. Social Security helps, but for many seniors, it no longer stretches as far as it used to. For retirees or disabled individuals who rely on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, the idea of receiving an extra $2,000 is more than a rumor. It feels like a lifeline. It represents breathing room. It represents the ability to pay rent on time, to catch up on medical bills, to buy enough groceries for the month, or simply to have a little peace of mind. When someone is struggling financially, hope becomes powerful. And that is exactly why these rumors grow so quickly. Many seniors are also dealing with emotional and mental stress, the fear of falling behind, the frustration of watching prices rise, and the worry about unexpected expenses can create a sense of overwhelming pressure. So when a message appears online claiming that help is on the way, it's natural to want to believe it. But unfortunately, this emotional vulnerability is exactly what scammers prey on. They understand the financial pain people are feeling. They take advantage of the desire for relief and use it to create convincing but false messages about stimulus checks. It's important to remember this. Wanting help does not make anyone weak. It makes them human. Every senior has worked hard, paid taxes, and contributed to society for decades. It's natural to hope for support, especially in difficult times. In the next section, we'll step back and look at the actual economic situation in 2025 and whether conditions make a new stimulus check likely or unlikely. The 2025 economy, is a new stimulus check likely? To understand whether a new stimulus check could realistically happen, we need to look at the economic conditions in 2025. Stimulus payments are not random. They are responses to major national emergencies. So the question becomes, is the current economy facing the kind of crisis that would trigger another stimulus program? In short, the answer is no, at least not right now. Compared to the chaos of the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy in 2025 is far more stable. Unemployment rates remain relatively low, meaning most Americans who want jobs have access to them. Businesses, while facing challenges with inflation and supply costs, are not shutting down on a massive scale. The economy is not collapsing. It is moving forward slowly but steadily. Inflation is still present, and prices remain higher than they were a few years ago, but the rate of inflation has decreased from the peak seen in 2022. This means that while things are still expensive, the rapid spike in prices has slowed down. Economists see this as a sign of gradual recovery, not a sign of crisis. For Congress to approve a stimulus check, the economy would typically need to show signs of severe distress, mass layoffs, widespread business closures, or a national emergency affecting millions of households. None of these conditions are present in 2025. Because of that, lawmakers have not proposed or voted on any bills that include direct payments like the rumored $2,000 check. Of course, no one can predict the future with absolute certainty. Economic conditions can change, emergencies can happen unexpectedly, but as of right now, there is no economic trigger that would lead Congress to consider a nationwide stimulus program. Understanding this helps us stay grounded. It reminds us that stimulus checks are exception-based, not routine. They appear during national crises, not during periods of gradual recovery. And while many Americans continue to struggle, especially seniors on fixed incomes, those struggles alone are not enough for Congress to approve another large-scale payment. In the final section, we'll talk about how seniors can protect themselves, stay informed, and prepare financially without relying on rumors or false promises. Protecting yourself, staying informed, and moving forward with confidence. As we come to the final part of this message, there is one thing I want every senior, retiree, and benefits recipient to remember. Your financial safety matters, and the best way to protect it is by staying informed and cautious. The rumor of a $2,000 stimulus check may not be true, but understanding the truth puts you in a position of strength, not vulnerability. First, always be skeptical of anything that sounds too good to be true, especially online. If someone claims a $2,000 check is already approved or that you must sign up quickly, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, does this come from the IRS, the Treasury, a well-known news outlet? If the answer is no, then the information is almost certainly unreliable. Second, never give your personal information, your social security number, bank account number, or private documents to anyone who contacts you through email, text, or social media. The government will never ask you to provide sensitive information in order to claim a stimulus payment. Any request like that should be treated as a scam and ignored immediately. Third, rely on official sources. If a real stimulus check is ever approved again, you will hear it from the IRS, the Treasury Department, and major news networks long before you see it in a random post or video. Real programs are announced loudly and clearly because they affect millions of Americans. Fourth, remember that while a new stimulus check may not be on the way, there are real assistance programs available. State tax refunds, healthcare support, utility assistance, prescription savings, and community resources can make a meaningful difference. These programs may not offer thousands of dollars at once, but they offer real help without risk, without misinformation, and without hidden traps. Finally, stay hopeful, but stay smart. Financial challenges can be overwhelming, especially for seniors living on fixed incomes. But with accurate information, careful planning, and awareness of scams, you can protect yourself and maintain control over your financial future. Thank you for watching, for seeking the truth, and for taking steps to safeguard your well-being. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember, you are not alone. We are here to help guide you every step of the way.